Welcome to the Evasion Song Contest. In the Evasion High Net Worth Individual Tax and Mobility Contest, Episode 1. Please give a warm welcome applause to our two expert hosts. The first one is Mr. Wonder Tax, a tax expert brought to you by the IBFD Tax Research Platform. Please meet the second host, Mr. Wonder Visa, an immigration expert brought to you by Henley & Partners and the unique quality of nationality. And now the most exciting part, the nominees of the Evasion Tax and Mobility Contest. The first nominee, Tom Hanks, one of the most successful US actors who in 2020 has been granted Greek nationality. The second nominee, Eduardo Saverin, co-founder of Facebook. Remember the social network movie featuring his character?
Said they identified me as a co-founder of Facebook, which I am. You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Saverin gave up his US citizenship in 2012, only a few months before Facebook's IPO. He moved to Singapore and paid the notorious US exit tax. The third nominee, Oleg Tinkov, founder of the Russian neobank Tinkov, who gave up his US citizenship in 2013, only a few months before Tinkov Bank's IPO. Tinkov didn't pay the US exit tax and got himself busted in 2021 by the IRS. He paid more than $500 million in taxes and fines. He lives in Italy.
You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Fourth nominee, Vitalik Buterin, the Canadian founder of the Ethereum blockchain network. After his project raised about $17 million in a crowd sale in 2014, he moved to Switzerland. Then, in a couple of years, to Singapore. Vitalik didn't give up his Canadian nationality. The fifth nominee is Sam Bankman-Fried, another crypto billionaire and the US citizen, who in 2019 moved to Hong Kong, where he co-founded FTX crypto exchange, only to move to the Bahamas in 2021, allegedly because of the regulatory constraints faced in Hong Kong. Now, the first performer, Tom Hanks, will be analyzed by our experts.
My mom always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Mr. Wonder Visa will explain how the US citizenship compares to other bonbons in the box. The Quality of Nationality Index compares the external and internal factors. Externally, we look at the freedom of traveling to foreign countries without a visa and the freedom to settle in foreign countries in a fast-track style. Internally, we measure the comfort of living in the country of your nationality. Think of healthcare, education, quality of life, GDP, and safety. Remarkable is that the US ranks high in travel freedom, low in settlement freedom, but overall high in the combined rank of mobility and local comfort of living. Switzerland, Greece, and Italy have a much higher freedom of settlement rank due to the access to the EU single market. Evidently, the Swiss, Greek, and Italian passports could provide settlement benefits to US dual citizens. By default, only Greece and Switzerland allow for dual citizenship, while in Greece it takes only 7 years to get nationality. Still, in Malta, Portugal, and Cyprus, conditions of obtaining citizenship are even lighter. Now, Mr. Wonder Tax has bad news for those acquiring US citizenship. The US passport is tax toxic because even if you change your tax residence, you will not stop being taxed as a US tax resident unless you give up your US citizenship and generally pay the exit tax. However, if you retain US passport, you will be subject to higher rates of income and inheritance tax in the US compared to other countries in the sample. Specifically, foreign-sourced passive income like dividends and capital gains, and active income like income of your foreign company or sole proprietorship will generally always be subject to tax liability in the US. Compare this with Singapore or Hong Kong where foreign sourced income is exempt. Moving to alternatives. At first glance, the Greek and Italian regimes seem to be very modest compared to the Swiss. But if we take into account the special expat regimes, then they rank closer to each other. Basically, all foreign source income, inheritance, and wealth there is exempt from taxes for the duration of the regime. Of course, specific conditions apply, the main of which is to pay annually a fixed tax, like 100,000 euros in Greece and Italy, and even more in Switzerland. You can also observe that Canada has a very similar pattern to that of the US. The major difference being that a Canadian passport is not tax toxic, meaning that your foreign income will only be taxed in Canada if you are a tax resident there. Since Tom Hanks hasn't given up his US citizenship and hasn't acquired Greek tax residence, he continued to pay taxes in the USA. So we can be positive he didn't become a Greek national to avoid taxes. The tax evasion score given by our experts is 1 out of 10. Now, we briefly remind you of the 4 other nominees. The second one, Eduardo Saverin, he gave up US citizenship, paid the exit tax, and moved to Singapore. By doing so, he saved millions in capital gain taxes and also protected himself from the US inheritance tax. Oleg Tinkov, who gave up US passport but didn't pay the exit tax. He now lives in Italy. Vitalik Buterin moved from Canada to Switzerland after raising more than $17 million for the Swiss-based Evasion Foundation. After a couple of years, he moved to Singapore. Let's find out whether he had to pay taxes on his crypto. Sam Bankman-Fried didn't give up their citizenship and moved to Hong Kong in 2019 to co-found a crypto exchange and then, after a couple of years, to the Bahamas. Would he get away with paying US taxes on his crypto gains? To compare the tax avoidance motive of our nominees, we need to figure out whether they gave up their tax liability in the US or Canada. From the 4, only Bankman-Fried didn't lose tax liability because he didn't give up his US passport. The only option for him to be exempt from US taxes would be to rely on the double tax treaty between the US and the country of destination. But neither Hong Kong, let alone the Bahamas, have such a treaty with the US. So Bankman-Fried won't be grilled any further. In case of Buterin, his Canadian passport doesn't affect his tax status, so by relocating he stopped paying taxes in Canada. And now back to the score. Our experts give Saverin 7 out of 10 for substantial savings achieved by giving up US citizenship and by being exempt from capital gain tax and many other taxes in Singapore. Oleg Tinkov gets a tax evasion score of 10 out of 10 bullseye for achieving the same result as Saverin without even declaring the capital gains and without paying US exit tax on them. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried gets 1 out of 10 for not giving up the US passport and for continuing to be tax liable in the US. Let us take a closer look at Buterin's move to Switzerland and then to Singapore. Due to successful Swiss-based crowdfunding, he was rewarded for his past and future founders' efforts with substantial amounts of cash in crypto. This means he earned the type of income which is always taxable, whether he lives in Canada or in Switzerland. The same applies in case he received crypto for free, as a gift or due to hard fork. Moreover, in Switzerland, he would generally have to pay wealth tax on the holding of crypto. But Buterin could still save a lot, because in Switzerland you don't have to pay capital gain tax when you sell or exchange your crypto, provided you don't act as a trader. In Canada, you can only get a 50% exemption. A Swiss expat regime is costly and doesn't allow you to earn active local income. So why not to relocate to Singapore, where only income from employment and business activities rendered in Singapore is taxed? No tax on passive income, forks or airdrops. Similarly, if you are a director or an employee of a Swiss firm and earn active income while staying in Switzerland, then you will not be taxed in Singapore. Although a tax motive definitely can be traced in Buterin's move to Switzerland and Singapore, the experts decided to give him 5 out of 10 because of the important non-tax motive. He brought with him to Switzerland a team of at least 12 developers and created a headquarters there. Finally, it's time for you, our dear audience, to vote for our nominees. Please vote by sending either at the wallet you see on the screen, or at least by sharing this video with your friends. And the winners are... a surprising turn of events. I suppose our audience got confused and voted for the best actor, which is of course Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump. Congratulations to our winner and stay tuned for the next episode. Cheers!